Thank you, Commissioner Fisher and Humberston, for being here. This is our this is being recorded. This will be posted online. There are members of the public who are welcome to attend, although I don't see any currently on the list. So this is an experiment to see. We're going to try every other day check-ins for 30 minutes tops. I will be the only staff member along with Brenda. I'll give you a high-level update of what's new since we last met, and then if you have questions or updates you'd like to give to each other, and that's the purpose of the meeting. We'll try it out and see how it goes. We currently don't have a quorum, so you cannot make decisions. But I'll ask commissioners, do you want to wait a bit for your colleagues to join, or would you like me to get started?
Gary, why don't you just reiterate what your answers to my questions that I asked before we actually started broadcasting, and then if we don't get anybody else in a couple minutes, that's, I'll check out. That was the thing I was interested in.
Okay, so yes, Commissioner, your first question was for the county's reopening application to the governor for phase 1 reopening. For our draft plan, our staff has prepared. There are several prerequisites that have marked in progress. And Commissioner Humberst's question was, is there any movement since Friday evening when that plan was finalized? The answer is no, although staff is still working on those areas. There's no update as of right now, but we may hear differently tomorrow when you're briefed. However, the governor and her staff has told our staff and you commissioners, counties can still apply even if you have prerequisites in progress, as long as you can demonstrate a plan for finalizing those steps in the next several weeks. And that is what we have done on our end. So you'll discuss this tomorrow and potentially take action, but we can submit our application even if some steps are still in progress. Your second question, Commissioner, was based on the legal action made today by a judge in Baker County, which has said the governor's stay-at-home order was not legal, that it required the state legislature to affirm it within 28 days, which did not happen. So has declared null and void the governor's stay-at-home emergency order. The governor and the state have filed an immediate review by the Oregon Supreme Court. So the executive order is still in action until the Supreme Court reviews this case, which they said they will do immediately. So as of now, we are still under the emergency declaration of the state for the stay-home order.
So were they actually granted a stay of execution on the lower court's decision?
Yes.
Okay.
So that answers your questions. Hello, Commissioner Schrader. We do have a quorum.
Okay.
The only updates I'll offer is that, yes, commissioners, you have, and there's Commissioner Savas. Wait just a second. All right. We do have 4 commissioners present. So staff has prepared a draft reopening application for you to review. It was posted online on Friday. It was sent to the mayors of the cities within Clackamas County who would also ask for a copy. And tomorrow at your 10 a.m. issues, you will have all the time you need to discuss the application. Staff will be present, including Nancy Bush, Philip Mason Joyner, and Dr. Sarah present. They'll have a quick presentation to go over the plan with you, and then you ask all the questions you need. And then if you're ready, you can make a decision tomorrow, or you can ask for more staff information. But staff has done their very best to prepare this with all the data they have as of Friday evening. And I'm sure tomorrow there may be some additions, but we'll discuss that with you. So that is coming tomorrow. And I'll ask if you have any questions about that right now, or anything I can get that you may need for tomorrow that we can have staff prepare for you before tomorrow.
I guess the only thing I want to ask is the outcome or the initial takeaway, or is there any new news coming from the governor's office as a result of the court ruling today?
Yes, we just briefly discussed that before you joined, Commissioner. The governor's office, I'm using the wrong legal term, has issued a stay. Is that the right term, Commissioner Fisher? A temporary stay on the lower court ruling for an immediate review by the Oregon Supreme Court. So the governor's order is still in place, pending a review by the Oregon Supreme Court.
Okay.
Okay.
So I know we'll have a lot to talk about tomorrow, but I do have really kind of just one concern, Gary, and that is our public outreach in regard to responding to the emails we've been getting, which has been pretty strong about why haven't you applied? Why haven't you applied? And I don't think that our messaging has responded to that very well. Is there a plan?
So we have been responding to these emails. There were several that were backlogged for a while we finalized the response, which was done last Thursday. And all of the prior emails that came to the board office had been responded to, and now they're being responded on a day-by-day basis. So the message, yes, is slightly changing now that we have a draft application for you to review. So yes, we are responding to those, Commissioner. If you or any commissioner have feedback, I welcome it, and we can work on that. But staff is preparing messages to be responsive to those inquiries.
Is there a way we can get a copy of what those responses are? Not from the people, but what our crafted response, because I have no idea what we're sending out.
Yes, so we sent that to you last Wednesday, I believe, what the draft.
So just that one, okay. So that was the only one that's gone out.
Right. I've not seen an updated version since Friday when we have prepared our draft application. So let me talk to staff about it. Okay. Any other questions or more information you would like in preparation of tomorrow's session to discuss the application, reopening application? None? Okay. And then my only other thing I'd like you to think about, which we don't have to decide today, but I will bring up to tomorrow, is last week you agreed to temporarily keep closed most county buildings through June 1st. Next week you have budget committee meetings, so we will not be meeting for issues. So I will ask you to make a decision by the end of this week if you'd like to, looking ahead, extend the temporary closure of county buildings through June 15th, an additional 2 weeks past June 1st. Staff is not ready yet to allow public back into our main county buildings. And the reason for that is we have spent the last several weeks first making sure we can provide almost every county service remotely. Second, to allow employees back into the building first and ensure their safety. And now our third and next step is to prepare the buildings for the public. And there's quite a bit to do that. As you know, having shields at every public counter, putting one-way traffic on our entry doors, limiting elevator usage to 2 people maximum, limiting our restrooms to 1 person only, putting markings on the floor for 6 feet different distance. There's a lot to do, and I honestly don't think we can do it by June 1st. So you don't have to decide today, but I want to give you this to think about. But by the end of this week, I'll ask if we can extend the temporary closure of most county buildings through June 15th. So okay. Just to give you that to think about, please.
Gary?
Yes.
Just in my personal, this is just me speaking, but if in your judgment we're not ready, then we're not ready. Just say so.
In my judgment, we're not ready yet. So
fine.
My request, commissioners.
You are the general manager of this county, and I don't have any. I appreciate you just being very straightforward and saying you don't think we're ready. We're not ready.
We're not ready. We can allow more individual one-on-one appointments with the public. That actually has been occurring in very, very minimal cases, but we could do more of that. That certainly is something we can start to do more of, but not to open the doors to the public at this time.
Okay.
So Gary, I have a question with some of these letters. Who's really agitating to open? Who are the people who are suddenly coming out of the woodwork complaining?
For our county buildings, very few. I think the feedback is why is the county itself, why have we not submitted our application along with the other counties who did?
Right. That's what I'm wondering. Do we know, is it one particular group? Is it, we've been seeing a lot of armed, crazy people out there being really, not exactly cogent about any of this. I haven't seen that here, but it seems to me that people are being very unreasonable. So I don't personally want to be answering any letters right now. I may tell them what I really think, so.
I don't feel it's any specific group. It's pretty across the board
from
what I've seen.
All right. Hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I've read them all. It is across
Yeah.
the board. It is across the board. I don't see any organized anything that's come in on our email. Other than I think I did see a little group that was bunched together that seemed to come from a hair salon dresser organization. I saw a few of those that came in a batch with similar verbiage, but other than that, that's the closest thing I saw to organized. And I would say it ranges from people that are employees to the people that are business owners to even people that are retired that want to patronize some of the places.
Right.
So it's been a mix.
Okay. Better let the staff answer it from my perspective. I'm losing my patience. So
Yeah, I just,
yeah.
if there's, when, I do want to say one other thing, Gary, if now's the time or not, I don't know, but it's been a pretty rocky few hours for me. I have a lot to deal with right now, but the one thing that kind of shook my tree was the email from Laura Zentner about the library. We need to talk about that because I think there's a couple things that need to be added to that and inaccuracies, a couple inaccuracies, but for my board members that are here with me today, this issue about the ability to build the library and the cost and the bonding rates and what we could do is something that I had very detailed discussions with Don Krupp when Don Krupp was the administrator. So some of what's in there is not new, and I just think it needs to be framed up correctly. I need to want to discuss that. But the overriding question is, does this mean we're going to build the Gladstone Library and just blow off everyone else and use Oak Lodge library monies to build the Gladstone Library with?
No, Commissioner, that's not what that email said at all. So I ask you all to please reread that email, and especially the opening line. And why don't we brief you tomorrow in executive session first, and then we can bring it back to a public discussion.
Yeah, I'll read it again, and I'll look forward to the discussion tomorrow morning.
Okay, great. All right, so this is a chance for you commissioners in the remaining 12 minutes to either give updates to each other on what has happened since you met last met as a board on Thursday, or if there's any information you would like from staff. Now's a chance for you to tell me so that I can make sure you have it for tomorrow.
Well, we did talk with the executive committee. I finally didn't have a conflict with one of their meetings of AOC, and Jackson County sent out a letter to all the commissioners because of their concern about how the money is being allocated from the CARES dollars to the rest of the counties. So the tone was a little, the way we talked about it is this morning, the tone was a little aggressive, and President Doherty is going to go ahead. They're going to rework something so they can express the same sentiments a little bit more diplomatically about how those dollars are being. Yeah. I'm kind of at the no diplomat point myself, but they're going to really try and soften that. But the counties, the rural counties are concerned that evidently they're not letting them they feel they have the latitude to use the money for economic development openings and things. I mean, something than what the governor, I guess, reads it as. And so I guess that's the only thing I have for you guys is that may start bubbling back. And Rob Ovett, yeah, barking dogs. Rob Ovett also sent me a confidential email about he sent it to all of us. I think I can share it, about the shut, what the judge did over in, what county was it? Burns?
Baker County.
Baker, Berosa, yeah. So he sent his assessment. I think it's okay to share with you guys. I thought at least I'd send it to Stephen first. Okay, so that's all I have.
Commissioner Fisher, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Just a few things. I think we should be briefed tomorrow based on what happened at the e-board and what that specifically means for Clackamas County. I got some of a heads up in the AOC meeting this morning, but how that translates to us, I have no idea what that means. I'm also curious about Dr. President talked about it her last briefing, and we read about it in the report. I'm curious, what is this technology that we need from OHA to do contact tracing? And, just a little bit more detail about that so we can get a real good sense of, for the things that are in process, like what kind of risk are we taking on? How effectively will we be able to function if we're able to open real soon based on the technology that we have? And then more detail based on, what is the plan to get the contact tracers? I mean, who are we connecting with? School nurses and with existing healthcare workers? I know that there's a lot of effort to building partnerships, but I think that for us as policymakers is a big deal, because we need to feel assured that we have a safety net in place to do the things that we can do. So those are just a few questions for tomorrow. The staff is probably already prepared to answer all of those, and then we have our one-on-one after this, and then we can talk a little more.
Yep, and I'm sure staff will be ready, but I will remind them too, so they're prepared to discuss with you tomorrow on all these topics. Thank you. All right, any other updates or questions, commissioners?
Oh, just one other little thing as well to be briefed tomorrow, because this is going to start moving very fast once the forecast comes out on Wednesday. And then there's going to be a special session. We really got to get Chris and Trent armed with what we need to be doing for Clackamas County with the legislature.
And they are doing that, and especially the addendum to your state legislative agenda you approved a few weeks ago with the COVID-related topics. So, yes. All right. Other questions or comments or feedback or things that you need, commissioners?
One clarification, Gary. So based on Commissioner Humberson's comments about you're not ready, will we be ready on June 15th?
I can't answer that, Commissioner. I don't know yet.
Okay, I think that's a question that needs to be answered. Instead of just kicking it, is to figure out what it will take to prepare the building to open, if that's indeed what we do. So I don't want to just kind of give the impression that on June 15th we can.
Right, and staff's been working on that, commissioners, for the last several weeks. The first step was to allow more employees into the building. The second was to prepare for all the things I just mentioned earlier about allowing the public in the buildings.
Mhm.
So we'll have a timeline ready for you, so I can share that with you in the next several days.
Is the hiring freeze still in place?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if there is a rash of retirements unanticipated, those positions will not be filled?
You'll have to go through an exception process, and at this point demonstrate to me that that position is essential for our COVID operations. And if so, then it will be refilled. And if it's not, then it won't.
Okay.
Any other comments or information?
Just briefly, Gary, I really support doing things right when it comes to our process, and I really appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
With that, we don't need to take more of your time, so we're done for today. We'll re-adjourn tomorrow morning, commissioners. Your executive session at 8:30, and then your issues at 10 a.m.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.